And out through the mouth. Fully arriving right here, right now, in the present moment. Grateful to be together and open to amazing wisdom that's going to be coming through this conversation. I'm super excited. Emerald, is it okay if I introduce you? Is that all right? Okay, so you may not know Emerald yet. If you don't, she is an extraordinary human and a beautiful soul. I feel very grateful to get to call her friend. There's a shorter intro, but I actually want to read the longer one because I think she'd normally have me skip over some of these details, but they're pretty amazing. So Emerald Peaceful GreenForest, which I love your name, the Empowered Messenger Master Mentor, is an internationally known speaker, spiritual leader, and transformation artist. She is passionate about serving visionary leaders and conscious entrepreneurs who want to leap fearlessly into their highest level of service to the planet and who want to profit handsomely from following their purposeful path. With programs, products, and services designed to create clarity, confidence, and courage for global messengers and agents of change, Emerald believes that when people everywhere, and especially women, feel great speaking their truth, empowered asking for money, and prepared internally and practically to be seen and heard, then the world will naturally change for the better. A successful and award-winning entrepreneur since her mid-20s, prior to her journey into the realm of personal and professional empowerment, Emerald was active in real estate development and community management consulting, and worked as a consultant with the U.S. Agency for International Development, the World Bank, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and several Fortune 500 builder developers. She's active in her community. Emerald served many volunteer leadership positions and has been an avid supporter of the arts for years. She's a published author with several books of her own, as well as a collaborator and contributor to 13 anthologies, many of which achieved bestseller status on Amazon. She's listed as one of Amazon's premier experts. She's also appeared in major media, most recently on CNBC's Nightly Business Report, and has created an international reputation online as a speaker, where she shared the virtual stage with colleagues like John Assaraf, you might know him as the star of The Secret, Marianne Williamson, David Wolfe, Guy and Catherine Hendricks, many, many other extraordinary humans like her. And Emerald was also selected to star and featured as a new icon in is I saying that right? New icon movie produced and presented in 2015 by the internationally acclaimed artist Laura Hollick, and has been interviewed on telesummits and other virtual summits broadcast all over the world nearly 500 times in the last several years. She's hosted the iTunes Top 200 Ranked Men on Purpose podcast. She's just a beautiful and radiant soul. My eyes are watering, so I'm going to shut my window. And I'm just really excited to share her with you today. She has a lot of wisdom that she's going to bring to you. So thanks for being here and joining us. I know you're going to get a lot out of your time with her, whatever time you spend with her. So thanks for coming and sharing yourself with our community, Emerald. I really appreciate you.
Oh, well, I deeply appreciate you too, Devi, and thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, and for everybody here for your patience as we were trying to get ourselves together technologically. So here's what I want to say. All those lovely things that have happened in my life and the things that I've done, I just want you all to really take a nice deep breath and know that I have technology problems too. And I have a cat that I have to clean up the poop, and I put my pants on the same way that you guys do, one leg at a time. And I'm really grateful for the accomplishments, because I feel like part of my work in the world is really just to be a pure, clear channel, right? And so everything that you talked about there, Devi, I just need to let everyone know who's here with us today that the work wasn't about making those things happen for me. The work was about clearing my own channels so that those things could happen through me. And the same is true for, creating a successful business and creating sales, especially, creating conversions, especially. Like, the work is really about how clear can you be as a channel for the divine, right? To work.
Amen.
So.
Yeah, amen.
So I know I'm in the right place today, and I'm going to start. I have a little slideshow, but I might flip back and forth between the slideshow and looking at Devi's gorgeous face. And we're going to be, we're going to have a structure here, and we're going to be professional. I'm going to give you as much as I can in the time that we have together. However, we're also going to be real here today, because it's already been made clear to us by the infinite source that like, we need to just be real about the fact that, you know, not everything is perfection, and so it's perfectly imperfect. And so we're going to get started today, and I'm really excited that you're here, and I'm grateful. So this is the Art of Conscious Conversion, 5 simple steps to enroll with ease and make selling a breeze, because we want it to be easy, people. It's not meant to be a great, big, fat, ugly struggle for us to be in business. Especially when you're heart-centered, especially when you are the people that I know that you are, which, you know, you're in the right place today if you are a change agent, a conscious entrepreneur, a visionary leader, if you call yourself any one of those things. You're also in the right place today if you're challenged with getting it together to convert your calling into consistent cash flow. And I think I just want to underscore that this is not just about converting your calling into cash flow. It's also about it being consistent, because none of us really wants to ride the revenue roller coaster. I love riding the roller coaster at Canopy Lake Park here in New Hampshire, where I live. I love it so much that when I get off the roller coaster, I run to the back of the line and get back on it again. And that's cool at the amusement park. It's not cool in your bank account. It's just not fun in your bank account. So you are also in the right place if you're ripe and ready to leap fearlessly, invest wisely, and profit handsomely from following your purposeful path. So take a nice deep breath. Welcome to the show. We are here. Let yourself be present, and you know, we're going to have as much fun as we can today. You know, our talk today is going to be simple, fun, empowering, and hopefully energizing for all of you who have chosen to be here with us. And I love the magical numbers that are coming through today. There's lots of magical numbers coming through today. So I'm grateful for those of you who actually made the decision to register for this call, and for those of you who showed up to receive. So Devi did give a big introduction for me, but I want to specifically talk about conversion and selling today. And so I want to give you a little bit of background about my selling background. So when I was 9 years old, I actually sold 763 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. And this was in the time when, you know, we went door to door, or we picked up the phone. We did not stand out in front of the grocery store selling cookies, and there certainly was no internet at all, not even close. So selling is something that has been with me for years. My dad was a car salesman. My mom had a little yarn shop in our house, and she put me in charge of exchanging cash with the ladies from town who came in to buy balls of yarn. So I've been selling for a very long time. I had a 20-year career in real estate before I got into personal and professional development, and during that time I had about $100 million in assets under my management, but I also was doing sales. And at the end of that career, I had 2 partners, and we built 51 single-family houses, 56 apartments, and an office building. And I was in charge of selling the first few houses, and I sold the first 10 houses from dirt piles. And I would take the people out to the big dirt pile. It had roots and stumps and rocks and everything, and I'd stand them up on top of the dirt pile, and I'd say, look down the hill here. Can you imagine the beautiful walking path that you're going to be able to see from your front porch, where you're going to be sitting right here? And that walking path is going to lead down to the gazebo, the community gazebo. And literally, I was selling houses with my words and helping people to vision what was possible. And after I sold the first 10 houses, by the time I sold the first 10 houses, the model was finally built. And it was a award-winning model home that we built. And then my partners took me out of the office of selling, because we were starting also to build the apartments, and they replaced me in the sales office with 4 people. So that was pretty telling to me as well. I was like, okay, that was interesting. I sold 10 houses from dirt piles, and they replaced me with a fully decked out model home and 4 salespeople. Okay. So I'm owning my capacity to be a salesperson here. And then finally, I've made multiple millions of dollars as an online entrepreneur over the years. And I want to share with you that I actually ended up burning my business to the ground back in 2016. I burnt my business to the ground. And what happened when I burnt my business to the ground was I had to start again. And when I had to start again, and the reason my business got burnt to the ground was I had a lot of personal stuff that was going on. And
just so you know, your video went off. Just if you done purpose. Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Back on again. I'm still working with these little technology.
We all are.
We're working with the technology here. Anyway, so after my business burnt to the ground because I had a personal major life rupture with my son, which I'm not going to go into that story right now, but it resulted after a year after that, you know, I had a $7 month. And I was like, this is not working. $7, it's just not working. And what happened after I burnt my business down is I realized, okay, I can sell. If nothing else, I know I can sell. And so I started to pull myself back together as a result of this life rupture and put myself out to colleagues, you know, high-end colleagues who had high-end offers that I could support them with their selling. And that helped me to get back up on my feet again, and it helped me to, you know, put revenue and the income into the bank, and it helped me to, you know, just come back to the game. You know, when you've been thrown off the horse and had your face, you know, kind of smashed into the ground, it can be kind of hard to get back up on the horse again. So selling actually saved me. So let's get started directly into the content, because I want to talk to you about what I discovered about people, what I discovered about myself and what I discovered about people with regards to what I call IDLS. And I just want to check, Devi, can you see the screen? Are you seeing the slideshow?
I'm seeing you still right now.
You're not seeing the slideshow?
Not yet.
Oh, well, my goodness. That would be helpful.
I'm seeing your lovely face.
It would be helpful to start sharing. Okay.
There we are. Now we see it. Okay, we see
the technology functioning now. Okay. Like going along and thinking people are seeing stuff. So, okay. So I'm just there's my face.
Yeah.
This is what we already just went through. Okay. All right, so here we are.
And it's not changing, it just is still at the first screen, just so you know.
Oh, that's weird.
So you're sharing, I think, inside of your PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever that is. PowerPoint.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so let me fix that. Hold on 1 second. Let me escape that. And so do you see the screen?
I see you.
You see me. Do you see the screen now?
No. Wait. Now I see, yeah, and I see moving things around in your screen.
Okay. So now.
So if you launch that, there you go. Now I see it from the beginning.
Okay. Okay. Yay. We love technology. And thank you to everyone who's being patient. Okay. Are you seeing me go through this now?
Yes, I am.
It's moving through. Okay.
It is moving. I see a $50 bill.
Yeah,
yep.
baby. Okay. We got it. Okay. Thanks, guys. Technology is our friend today. Okay, so over the years, I have discovered I discovered this about myself, and I've also discovered it about a lot of people who are the people that I call the called. You know, we are the called. We have this big message, and we're, you know, this big idea or this big new shift information that we're here to bring into the world, and we have IDLS. What is IDLS? Do you have IDLS? I'll tell you what IDLS is. IDLS is I don't like selling syndrome. I don't like selling syndrome. So how many people have you heard say, oh, I really want to do XYZ, but I don't like selling. I really want to do ABC, but I don't like selling. Devi, how many people do you know that you have worked with that say, I don't like selling?
Maybe 95%. It's really a lot. It's a large number. Yeah.
And so people who say, I don't like selling, sometimes they're saying it using another secret term, which is, I don't want to be salesy. Okay? So here are some of the symptoms of IDLS. The first symptom is asking for money happens very irregularly and infrequently. Like, how often are you making an offer? Are you making an offer a day? Are you making 5 offers a day? Are you making 27 offers a day? Are you making 1 offer a month? And then you skip a month. Asking for money happens very irregularly and infrequently. The next symptom is your business is on credit card life support. I have done that more than once. I've put my business on credit card life support, even though I know how to sell. You have program anemia, meaning your programs are either unfilled or underfilled. You have products that are sitting dead in the morgue, in cold storage. Can I tell you how many products I have sitting dead in the morgue? I must have at least 15 different products sitting dead in the morgue. Perfectly good products that could be out there and I could be selling. I myself have suffered greatly from IDLS, even though I know how to sell. You might have the cold sweats thinking about speaking to sell. So speaking to sell is what I'm doing right now. This is a typical speak to sell. I'm not going to sell something at the end of the call other than an opportunity for you to have a conversation with me, but it's still, this is a speak to sell style talk. It's not a keynote. I'm not giving you a keynote talk, which is a different talk altogether. So if you get cold sweats thinking about speaking to sell, either live on a virtual platform like this or on the live stage, you probably have some IDLS going on. If you have phone phobia, so let's say you've got all these people that are clicking on your lead generation materials, but you don't dare pick up the phone and actually call and talk to them and say, hey, I noticed you're clicking. I'm actually in the middle of phone phobia right now on something, and so I'm clear that like my next step is to pick up the phone to the 51 people who've been clicking on something in my own not funnel, but my own email list that I've been promoting something to them, and there's 51 people, and I'm like, well, how come they're just not going right to the sales page and clicking the enroll button? But I've got their phone numbers right there. So clearly they're like signaling interest. So I got to work on my own phone phobia right there. Maybe you have networking nervosa. This is where you are going into the wrong places to network. How many times have you walked in, Devi, to a networking place and you get like, you cross the threshold and you're like, oh, I am not in the right place.
Yes, so many times, and you know instantly, you're like, your whole body is either oh, yeah, no, I'm not, yeah, and you just, that's a good time to turn on your heels and walk out the door, say hi to whoever you came to see, and bless them and go out the door.
Right. And what about the times that you've gone into a networking event? I don't know if you've done this, but I definitely did it in the early stages of my entrepreneurial career. I would go into a networking event and I would be like, I mean, I kind of knew when I got there it wasn't exactly the right place for me, but I went on a business card binge, right? I was collecting all the business cards from everybody, like, oh my God, let me get your business card. And then they came home and sat in boxes, right? Mm. So that's networking nervosa. Pricing paralysis. You have no idea what to charge. How many times have you heard that, Devi, or said that to yourself? I have no idea what to charge.
Yeah, many times.
How about math amnesia? You didn't calculate sufficiently or value properly. So math amnesia, let's talk a lot about this right now, because when you have math amnesia, what that means is you're actually ignoring some of the actual costs of doing business, whether it's your own personal time that's costing to make this business happen, or whether it's including the fact that you are delegating, you have a team, you're running marketing, you're paying for your internet, you're doing all these things. You aren't calculating all of the costs into your business. And then when you do go out to sell, at some level, like energetically, the sales price is probably not supportive of what it actually takes to run the business. So if you have math amnesia, you're either not calculating everything that needs to be calculated, or you're not valuing yourself and what it is that you have to offer properly. Month obesity, more month than money. This is when you have so much more month than money. You know, enough comes in to get you through the first, third of the month or 2/3 of the month, and then you've got, another third of the month, and the money's just not there. So month obesity is a really tough one. And then an advanced case is when you're trading your time for dollars. This is where time for dollars trauma is horrible, especially for those who are sensitive and highly conscious and highly called, because your calling is actually a transformation for somebody. And so the value needs to be in the transformation and the value of receiving that transformation. Like today, the value for you to be here is the prayer is you're going to receive a transformation in your conversion process. And that the value of that transformation is worth way more than the hour or two that you're spending here, right? So you want to value the transformation rather than, oh, I should be paying $50 an hour to spend, an hour, or somebody should be paying me $50 or $100 or $200, even $400 or even $600 an hour. You're still in time for dollars trauma when you are pricing things based on hours. So let's take a nice deep breath on this one. We got a lot of symptoms here for IDLS. Yeah.
They're really great symptoms. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
So I see a lot of people go through the phone phobia. That's a big one that I definitely see a lot. Do you have like a quick tip for someone who is being presented with phone phobia, like they're unable, like they're not making the phone calls they know they need to make and their business is suffering?
Yeah.
Do you have a tip for them?
Yeah, so I actually am going to get into the 5 steps. And,
okay.
and the 5 steps that I'm going to share very specifically can be applied to actually heal this whole thing, right? Because I want you to remember these are symptoms, and we are holistic people here, especially on this call, right? So if I just treat the symptom of phone phobia, I'm leaving out a whole bunch of other symptoms, and I haven't actually cured IDLS. I've just put a Band-Aid on the phone phobia. Make sense?
Completely, yeah. And valuing yourself, all of it, I think is so important. Yeah. So I have to say I love your naming schemes. I love like how you put this together. It's just perfect. You clearly know. You know IDLS. God knows IDLS.
God gave it to me. I just put it, bringing it through, girl. Thank you. I was pretty excited when it came through, too. I was like, oh, this is pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
You can tell when it's good stuff because you get the tingle, right?
Mm-hmm.
As it was coming through, I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, let's bring some more. What else is going on with these people? I also will say that, I've suffered myself, so I know what it is. So I want to get underneath this. So why we have IDLS, and it's fears, okay? There's 3 fears that I've narrowed it down to. The first is the fear of not being good enough. The second is the fear of being pursued. And the third is the fear of standing in a position of power. So I want to stand in a position of power right now and just remind everyone, because we got off to a little shaky start with our technology, we're going to be going for around an hour. I want to honor everyone's time. So I may truncate some of this in order to honor everyone's time properly. And I'm going to leave it to you, Devi, to be like the, we need to wrap this up kind of. I'm going to give you that role, that we need to wrap this up. But I am going to let everyone know where you can catch me, connect with me, find out more about all of this, see if you can get a diagnosis from me, and also some support in getting IDLS syndrome cured by the time we get to the end of the call. So
just to be clear, an hour from now or an hour from the top
about
of the hour?
an hour from when we started, which was 1:10.
Okay.
We started at
I'll track.
So, yeah, we started at
10:10 if you're California. Okay.
Yeah, or 10:10 if you're California. I just want to honor everyone who was expecting to be done by 2 Eastern time or 11 California time. I just, if you were expecting to, I'll stay if you want me to stay, but I want to let everyone know that I want to honor them. I just needed to stop for a second and be clear about that, and to let you know that I do appreciate your time. So here are the top 3 fears that cause us to have IDLS. And I'm going to move quickly through this because we did get off to a little bit of a slow start. So, so the first one is not being enough. And I want to talk about, because your people here, Devi, are very energetically savvy. So this talks about your energy. Like, what is happening when your sales are failing? That means that you are in this fear of not enough. Because if your sales are failing, you don't have enough. You don't have enough money to run your business if you're not having sales, right? You're literally creating not enough. So the main reason why we are in this state of the fear of not enough is because we're actually not connected to the earth grid with our energetic field. And we need to realize and recognize and understand that we are electromagnetic beings. And as electromagnetic beings, we need both the electrical energy and the magnetic energy to be flowing through us in order to be able to thrive. And everything that's happening with us naturally flows out into our business. So if we're not having sales, we have to look at ourselves and do our own work first in order to shift that. So I want you to think about a light bulb. If you do not screw the light bulb into the socket firmly, then when the electricity comes on, nothing's going to happen with the light bulb. Same is true for you. If you are not firmly grounded and quite literally screwed in to the earth grid and the earth herself, and connected and grounded and physically present in your body, with your spirit body in your physical body all the way to your toes. So a lot of people run around with their spirit body into their physical body about up to here. And I can actually see them because I'm a seer. So I can see like their spirit body is floating above their head and their feet are like down to their chin. We want our spiritual body, our essence, the essence of who we are, our full presence, to be presencing throughout our entire body. Because when we are fully present, think we are now magnetic. So I want to show you just visually the difference between somebody who was not present, and then we did some work together, and I helped her to get present. And when we did this work together, Suzanne was actually already a multi-six-figure client, coach, and she was a New York Times best-selling author. But she came to me, she knew she wasn't connecting to her people, and she was in pain about this. She was in pain. Even though she was making plenty of money and she had notoriety and all of those things, she was in pain because she did not feel she was connecting with her people for a wide variety of reasons. But ultimately, it was this issue of feeling like she was not enough. But it was really even underneath that issue of feeling like you're not enough is the issue of not being connected to the earth and feeling nourished and nurtured and magnetically fed by the earth. Literally, if you're not grounded, you are starving. Energetically, you're starving, and you will be working from a place of starvation and desperation rather than from a place of flourishing and thriving. And so as a result of the work, you can just look at the difference in her face and her radiance, right? And yes, this is not the best of photos, and yes, this is a professional photo, but I want you to look at her eyes, like especially her eyes. You can see she's not fully there in her eyes in this first picture. Well, what ended up happening for her revenue was her income increased 300%. 300%. You want to purchase from somebody who's radiant and magnetic and alive and present for you, right? So holding your own power and being pursued, okay, I want to go back to that. Being pursued. I'm going to skip this little story here because for time purposes, and tell a personal story. The first time I went to a live event where big offers were being made, like $24,000 from the stage, $100,000 from the stage, I was like this little bright-eyed, bushy-tailed innocent from New Hampshire, and I was like, oh my God, people are actually paying $100,000 to work with these people. I was like, this is crazy and exciting at the same time, right? I had no idea that this even existed back in 2009 until I went to that first event. And what happened during that event was the guy who was the host, there was two people that were hosting, but the male host said, you want to be pursued when you're in business. And as soon as he said that, like every single hair went on the back of my neck. I was like, no, I don't want to be pursued. But the truth is you actually do. If you are in a business, you actually want to be pursued. You want people to want what you have to offer. And you want to have them coming to you rather than you running around chasing after them. So an example of you running around chasing after them is the business card binging that we talked about earlier, right? Going off to the networking events and running around and gathering all of the business cards. You're in hunter mode then. You're not being hunted. You are the hunter. And who wants to be hunted, right? I don't want to be a target, and I don't want to be hunted, right? So even marketing terms are a little bit off for me energetically. You know, my target audience. No, I don't want to use that word. I mean, you kind of have no choice when you're working with people who are helping you with marketing, but the truth is you want to be so magnetic that you are pursued. You want people to be coming after you, and what happens when you are afraid of being pursued is you actually go into your shell and you hide. You just get like right into your shell and you hide because you don't want to be pursued. And I have personal reasons for not wanting to be pursued as well. My dad was abusive, so but we're not going to go into that story today. But I do remember hiding under the bed when he was pursuing me. So, you know, that word was a big trigger for me, and it was a big truth because I actually do want to be pursued for business purposes. Right? I do want people to want what I have to offer. I do want people, because it just makes everything so much easier. So the third example of third fear is the fear of standing in our power, right? Are you ready to lead? Are you ready to stand in front of a whole bunch of people where a whole bunch of energy is coming towards you? When you're extra sensitive, when you're highly sensitive, like even though you might not consciously be saying that to yourself, at the subconscious level, you might be like, you know, doing this little dance, like, ooh, I want them, but I don't know whether I can handle them. Oh, I want them, but I don't know whether I can handle them, right? And you want to be able to stand in a position of power to lead people, because a selling conversation, whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many, is a leadership role. You are helping to lead someone from where they are now to where they want to be. You are helping to lead them to know that it is in service to them to invest in themselves to get to where they want to go. So you've got to be able to stand in a position of power and not be afraid of the spotlight, not be afraid of, being in that authority position in a way that feels good, okay? So, Devi, I want to talk a little bit with you about this because you're a leader. You know, you're in a position of power and you're building your leadership. And as you build your leadership, have you felt yourself come up against this kind of upper limit? Like, I'm not sure if I can handle any more people. It's silently running in your head. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm definitely highly sensitive, more probably empathic than even just highly sensitive. So I feel everyone else's feelings. And energy impacts me in a very interesting way. And I've been working a lot on focusing on the vibration behind the business and not so much the words or the structures as much, because for me, that's how I experience it most of the time anyway. And I will say, in the early days of coaching, I would get exhausted. Like back in 2000 when I started coaching, I would literally like get laid out in bed after doing, 3, 4, 5 sessions. And I'm like, you want me to do how many sessions of coaching? There's no way. I can't function, right? And so I found very early on that that was the case, and I started to kind of push away energetically new clients. I also find if I go speak sometimes afterwards, I can be very, very exhausted if I don't manage and prep my energy properly. Sure. So I do find sometimes that I may not even consciously realize that I'm doing it, but I'm pushing stuff away that is tough for me to handle. Or I'm working on an energetic level that I may not even be conscious of that my soul is taking on as it's part of its work. And then I find, oh, wow, that was way more work than what I thought I was going to be doing. And I didn't really protect or set up my energy properly. So I think energetic practices are so important. And recognizing, too, that it can be running the show behind the scenes, and we may think it's our tactics of what we're doing, but it's really not.
Correct.
So, I love that you're teaching this. This is fabulous.
Right. Well, and so the fun part about leadership and the fun part about this fear of being in a position of power. When I had my old brand, the brand name was The Empowered Messenger, and my work with that old brand was really to bring in the new archetype of the empowered messenger, because the old messenger archetype was the messenger that got persecuted, prosecuted, or executed, right, for standing in a leadership role. Who wants to do that? Who wants to stand in a leadership role when historically, especially change agents, have been persecuted, prosecuted, or executed for being in that role? So, but we're here, and there's a reason we're here. We were called here, and there's a reason why we're called here, and we are highly empathic and highly sensitive, because we are called to be birthing a brand new matrix of a higher order. And so we must be able to stand in a leadership position in order to do that, to lead the people we're here to lead.
Can I say something to that too, Emerald?
Yes, please.
I'm really seeing that there's a shift that's happening right now as we're moving into a new form of leadership like you're talking about, and that there's truly a call for us to be able to fully express the voice of our own soul, individually and collectively, to serve humanity in a bigger way. So even if you're feeling like, I don't know if I want to step into that for myself, we collectively need you to. So I hope that you really listen to what she's about to say, because I think this is just really an important conversation, especially right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Devi. So one of my mentors was also one of my clients. And servant leadership, I got to say this. I got to pause here and say this because I'm being called to say it. There is a transition in leadership from command and control to collaborate and co-create. And when we move from command and control, which a lot of us, possibly were conditioned under command and control conditions, whether it was through the education system or our religious systems or our familial systems or the broader patriarchal system that is being dismantled right now. Command and control is breathing its last fiery breaths in front of us right as we speak, right? And at the same time that command and control is collapsing across all industries, across all structures, command and control is collapsing right in front of our eyes. At the same time, because nature abhors a vacuum, right? At the same time, collaborate and co-create is actually being birthed. And just this conversation that we're having today is a collaborative co-creation, right? It's not me saying I'm the guru and I'm the one that you should be listening to and follow my instructions. It's like, hey, Devi, what's happening with you, right? Is it happening with you? Is it happening with you, Deborah? Is it happening with you, Alana? Is it happening with you, Anonymous, right? Let's work together, because the collective, the collaborative, the connected, the co-creative is our calling. It's our calling. We actually came in to seed and anchor in a higher level of leadership collectively, and we came in to be catalysts for the dismantling that we're seeing happening right now. 10 years ago, when I started on this part of my journey, things were very different. Now there's so much more collaboration going on. There's so much more co-creation. Back then, like, I was like the chicken running around saying, the sky is falling, guys. We got to do it a different way, right? And a lot of us are ahead of our time. So be okay with being ahead of your time and find those collaborative communities and those people that you resonate with, that you can sink into this larger collective creative force with each other. It's no longer is it about, I have to be the one to go out there and lead this charge. It's more about like, wow, this charge is way too freaking big for any single person. How can we come together and collaborate and create something that's you know, more mutually beneficial and frankly more efficient and certainly more kind and caring, right? In this new collaborative, we see one another as assets rather than resources to be disposed of. Assets to care for and steward. Our relationships are assets to care for and steward, rather than we're going off the script and that's cool. We're totally going off the script because the channel's open now. Anyway, I do want to be mindful of time. So we are being invited. What I'm saying is we are being invited to step into true leadership. And I love what Lisa says here. Lisa was one of my clients 10 years ago, and I was one of hers. She says that true leadership stems from the willingness to reach out to ask for help, and that's what I did for myself. And as a result of us working together 10 years ago, or 9 years ago, whatever, however many numbers of years ago it was, I think it was 2010, I helped her to double her first 7-figure year. So she went from 150,000 to having 7 figures in a very short period of time. And then the question is, when you make that kind of a leap, right? Okay, she's working, making 150,000 a year, 150,000 a year, 150,000 a year, boom, 2.4 million in 3 days. That's a big leap, right? And energetically, here's what the deal is with leadership. Energetically, you've got to, when you make a leap like that, you either have to have already set up the structures energetically to land that leap, or immediately upon landing that leap, you've got to set up the energetic structures to be able to contain that exponentially higher level of energy that's symbolized by $2.4 million, right? But also was symbolized by the 40 people that she brought into her mastermind. So you've got to be able to land those big leaps of leadership, and what it comes down to is boundaries and consciously creating the boundaries that will allow you to contain and then channel that energy under your direction, okay? Because as you step into the role of leadership, your work is not only to gather the energy, but also to, if there's any command and control happening, it's at the energetic level that you are commanding the channeling of that energy and the delivery of that energy and the disbursement of that energy consciously. Does that make sense? Rather than do what I did when I got $750,000 out of my last real estate deal and had my art gallery and healing art center, and within a year it was like, whoop, it hit poof, $750,000 was like, not all of it, but a lot of it disappeared. So does that make sense, Devi?
Completely. Yeah, it's so important that we pay attention to the energetic component of money, because it's just like you said. I love how you use the word, I actually wrote down symbolized by. It's such a great way to look at it. Completely makes sense. We see a lot of people that, win the lottery and then the money is gone. They, get a big check and then the money is gone. Or they don't win the lottery. They don't get the big check because of the energetic component. So,
Correct.
Beautifully said.
So I want to get us into the 5 steps so that everybody can walk away with some help here. And these 5 steps are how to, they're the mastery of the art of conscious conversion, okay? I do want to stop for a second and let people know conversion is another word for selling, but conversion is also another word for taking somebody from point A to point B, right? You take somebody from the streets to Stanford, that's a conversion, right? You take somebody from corporate to owning their own business, that's a conversion. You take somebody from never hearing about a podcast before to becoming a podcast listener, that's a conversion. So conversion is a very broad term, but in this case, we're speaking directly about converting people from prospects to clients. And so I have a 5 steps system here, and you can write down on a piece of paper, if you're in a place where you can write, the word shell down the left-hand column. Shell, S-H-E-L-L, down, up and down in a left-hand column, because that's the acronym that we're using here, because we want you to come out of your shell and sell. So the first thing you want to do, this goes back to what I was talking about with Suzanne, is you want to stand your ground, okay? You want to be really grounded energetically. So I'm going to speak to you energetically as well as intellectually here, and hopefully get the message through. So standing your ground means before you have a selling conversation of any sort, whether it is a selling conversation one-to-many or a selling conversation one-to-one on the telephone, you got to check in with yourself. Am I grounded, or am I out floating somewhere? Am I present, or is my mind thinking about picking up the dry cleaning? Am I in my body? Can I feel my toes, or am I only in up to my chin, right? Am I in my head? When we're having a selling conversation with somebody, it's even more important to be out of your head and in your heart now. Where the old command and control worked to mind meld you to its system of brainwashed, power programming, the new Earth grid that we are building, the new model of interacting with one another that we are here to deliver to the world, is based upon connecting heart to heart. So if you're in only up to here, you can't do it. You simply cannot connect heart to heart if all you're doing is thinking, oh, is my presentation going to work? Are my buttons going to be pushed properly? Like, do I have all the slides in order? Am I, how many people are going to be here? When we're all in our head thinking about stuff, am I going to make my bottom line this month? We're not in a position to have a collaborative partnership conversation. We're not in a position to bring forth the best in the person who's listening to us. Because if we're all in our thinking, they're going to be all in their thinking. And when they're in their thinking, they're going to be thinking about all the reasons why they shouldn't have a conversation with you. All the reasons why they shouldn't make an investment in themselves. Their mind is going to work, right? But if you are able to be immediately in your heart center, which requires practice and requires intent and requires valuing of this part of the process, 1 minute of grounding yourself can make millions of dollars in difference. 1 minute. And so we kind of fluff it off as, oh, maybe that's not so important. But it's actually your place of highest leverage. It's your place of highest leverage. Because when you're grounded, you're actually being nurtured and fed and filled with life force energy from the earth. And that means you don't need anything from anyone. You can deliver fully and be completely detached from whether or not they go into business with you or not, because you're fed. And you can feel that at the energetic level. You can feel the life force flowing through you, and you can feel yourself secure in that. So the second piece of this is you've got to own your greatness. And if you are called to do something, which I can tell you, everybody who's on this call and who signed up for this call, you are called, right? If you are called, the calling is two parts. Part one, it's the calling of your own heart that's carrying these beautiful gifts, that you came all the way to this planet from some far distant star nebula to deliver, right? You came, you have like unique, special, perfect, distinct, energetic signature that no one else has. It's like we all have our own unique thumbprint, we all have our own unique energetic signature. And your signature was called forth from the vast beyond to come here to deliver these gifts. Like you're here to be the UPS person, you know? You're the FedEx person to deliver these gifts. It's only you. And the other piece of the calling is there are people all around the world. There's 8 billion people on the planet or some crazy number. All these people are all around the world, not just in your backyard, but literally all around the world. There are people who are praying for either the solution to their problem or the fulfillment of a desire. Now, a lot of internet marketers talk about the pain, you got to talk about the pain, you got to talk about the pain, you got to talk about the problems, you got to talk about the problems. But the truth is, you know, when it was time for your wedding, were you in pain? Or were you like, oh my God, I'm so excited, I'm getting married, we got to pick a venue, right? Like, there's a fulfillment to desire aspect of having selling conversations as well. So some of you may very well be speaking from pain, and that is perfectly okay. Like, oh my God, I have the solution to fat bellies. I know people are having a problem with fat bellies. You know, this is a problem for them. It's causing them pain, and I could talk all day about fat bellies, right? But you may also be somebody who's here to fulfill a desire. So I want to speak to both of you and say that if you are, that the calling that you're hearing not only is the calling of your own heart to deliver your gifts, but it is also the prayers of all of those people who want to have fulfillment or a solution. So you've got to just own your unique greatness. And I'm, you know, hopefully speaking, I may be speaking to the choir here, but this is the first step to be able to consciously convert. The second step is holding the space. So holding the space for dreams to become real. And this is where we talk about the leadership piece. This is where we talk about the boundaries piece. This is where we talk about holding your capacity to be triggered and still move ahead. Okay, so I told you earlier about that conversation with the guy who was on stage, and thank you, the guy who was on stage and said, you want to be pursued, and I wanted to go hide, right? Well, when you are in a selling conversation, unless it's clearly not a fit, you want to be able to hold the space, even if the person who's on the other side, I'm talking about a one-to-one conversation, even if the person who's on the other side is saying things that might trigger you, you've got to be able to manage your own energy around those triggers. You also, if you're in a one-to-many situation, you actually have to both tactically as well as energetically hold the space for the entire room, right? So when we started this conversation, I was aware of how many people registered for this call. I energetically prepared myself to hold the container for that number of people, right? And I always make my container a little bit bigger because I know that there may be people who share this call with other people, right? So I always make my container big enough to hold all the people who've said yes, they're coming to the call, and have a little extra breathing room. Let's imagine you're at a stage situation. right? If you're on a stage, you've got a room full of people. You're managing the energy of the entire room. So you want to be able to hold the space for their dreams to become real. This is energetic work. And it's also tactical in a one-to-many. You can position energy space holders throughout your room in the form of team members when you're doing a one-to-many event. You want to have all of your team members on board with holding the space as well. The third step that you want to do is, now that you've got all your energetics orchestrated properly, now you're in a place where you can start to evaluate and educate. You want to evaluate what the challenge or problem is, or what the desire or dream is, and you want to educate. Now, in a one-on-one conversation, the evaluation happens in the form of questions, and then the education happens when it's time to make the offer. I want to speak about how important it is when you're in a one-to-one selling conversation to remember in the evaluation part that you are also evaluating for fit for you. You do not have to make an offer to every person that's on the call. If it's a bad fit, you can stop the call. If you're in a one-to-many situation, how you evaluate is actually by giving people words to help them self-identify. You are in the right place if. I did that at the beginning, right? And then when it's clear it's time to make the offer, you offer what it is that you are doing in an educational format. So today what I'm offering is helping people to command more cash flow. Helping people to command more cash flow. And I'm educating you all along the process about why you would want that. Why would you want to command more cash flow, and why maybe you aren't, right? I'm actually a little heavy on why you aren't. So the fourth step is you've got to love. You've got to love what you are offering. You've got to love yourself enough to make an offer. And you've got to love your prospects enough to make the offer to them. Love, love, love what you are offering. And then the final step is you must let go and let God. You have to let go and let God, because not everybody's going to work with you. Even people you think, oh my God, that person should so totally work with me, and they don't. You've got to let go and have no attachments to the outcome. And again, that takes us right back to the beginning. When you're standing your ground and owning your greatness, when you are completely connected to the earth and you are answering your own calling to be here on the planet fully, and you're fully present, you know you're going to be fed one way or the other, right? Sometimes it's not linear. Actually, for me, for the last decade, it's not been linear ever. Like, I could make this presentation and have nobody want to talk to me, and then 3 days later be at the grocery store and somebody's like, oh my God, I think I need to work with you. And I'm like, I don't know where you came from. I don't even know. Like, they have no connection to me whatsoever, but the source, right? The earth herself sent them to me. So my only job is to show up, right? And then let go and let God. So those are the 5 steps. Take a nice deep breath. And Devi, do you have any quick questions about this? And I want to answer the phone fear thing. When you're doing stand your ground and own your greatness, you don't have any phone fear. You just don't. You're like, oh yeah, I'm called to get on the phone. I'm going to get on the phone now, right? It's just an automatic. There is no fear when you're fed.
I just love everything that you're saying, and I think it is everything that you're talking about is the stuff that most people don't talk about. Like, we learn so many tactics and techniques and things that we're supposed to do that don't work unless you are, it's like a bias people get when they do something. They think that's going to work for everyone else, when the truth is that usually it's the energy and the vibration of what we're carrying and the tone that we're bringing to something that really impacts the impact of how we, how we communicate and what we're delivering. So I love you're talking about this. I sometimes float in my body, so maybe maybe I'll ask a little bit. I'm probably down about here.
That's what I was going to say. You're about to your womb space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so what happens when you're down to your womb space is you get super creative.
Mm-hmm.
You just get super creative, and you're creating, but not everything is sticking. And then there can be frustration around that because it's not all sticking, right? So when you're using a lot of creative power, but you're not receiving in exchange for all the creative power you're putting out.
I got so much creative power, it's ridiculous.
I know.
I'd love for that all to stick.
I know.
So I'm wondering, like, do you, like, I have, where's my rock? I have rocks and stuff that I stand on to try and ground my feet. I will feel, oh, here it is. I'll feel into different parts of my body. Do you have other techniques for people that are trying to kind of...
So there's one thing that has been, one quick one, but there's a lot. You know, there's obviously a lot. And each person is different, and the reasons why they're not fully in can be different. So let me be very clear about that. Like, sometimes it's past life stuff, sometimes it's ancestral stuff, sometimes it's cultural stuff, sometimes it's religious stuff, sometimes it's childhood trauma, sometimes it's a combination of all of the above. For example, just really quickly, I had a client who came to me a number of years ago who could sell like hotcakes when she was selling for somebody else. When she was in corporate, she was doing $200,000 deals. When it became time to do her own business, she could not sell for squat. And she had invested for 5 years, like a lot of money, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in coach after coach after coach after coach after coach. She came to me for a Claim Your Value VIP day. We got clear that because she was of Asian heritage, she was not actually permitting herself to call herself an expert. Because in Asian heritage, you're not supposed to stand out and call attention to yourself and be bigger or more important or whatever than other people. Literally within 6 weeks of finishing that VIP day, she was on TV.
Wow.
And launched her radio show and was able to actually sell because she was able to claim her greatness, own her greatness, right? So a quick, just like one thing that I've done for myself is I have an earthing sheet, and I sleep on that sucker every night. I take it with me when I go to hotels, when I travel, wherever I go. Get connected to the earth as much as physically possible. It's great to put it all up in here and say, I'm imagining myself, blah, 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 but put your bare feet on the earth and get a grounding sheet, and you're literally having earth energy be fed to you all night long.
So for those who don't know what an earthing sheet is that just like a, I don't know what that is.
So you just go to earthing.com. You ask for a quick thing.
Yes, that's great. Earthing.com.
Quick thing, earthing.com, and they explain the whole thing way better than I can in the next 2 minutes. So
perfect. Okay, great.
But,
and we're coming on the wrap up time. I know I texted you. So if you want to.
So the one thing I want to do here is I'm going to skip through all of these things here, and I want to ask you some questions. What will your business be like when you're consistently and powerfully asking for money and working with the people that you're most resonant to serve? What will it feel like when you can easily ask for so much money that you can masterfully support yourself and run your business sustainably? What is the level of respect and admiration you'll receive when you can create so much money that your accounts are overflowing and you're able to generously support philanthropic organizations and courses and causes that have your heart? What would it be like to cut up your credit cards because you no longer need them? So I want to know what it's costing you right now in lost time, lost money, lost opportunities, lost mental, physical, or emotional health, lost connection with the people who are praying for the problem to go away that only you can solve, or the fulfillment to the desire that only you have to offer. What's it costing in lost leisure time with your friends and family? What's it costing in lost purpose and passion for pursuing your dreams and living your list? So the invitation I have for you, which I promised I would give before the end of the call, is to have a conversation with me. And the way to do that is to go to commandmorecashflow.com. commandmorecashflow.com. We'll get on the phone and I will diagnose you. And what we'll do is I'll give you your specific IDLS diagnosis. I'll give you personalized guidance to clear the fears and open the flows. And I'll give you complete clarity on the best right next steps for you to be able to command more cash flow. So I want to say thank you to everyone. Thanks for sticking with us, and thank you for being patient with our technological stuff that we had. And thank you, Devi, for having me to serve and speak and connect and collaborate and co-create with you. I hope we had fun. I hope you had fun. I had fun.
Emerald, thank you so much. I love every time we connect. I always learn so much from you. And Deborah saying, this was fabulous. Thanks so much, both of you. It's so good to have you here, Deborah. Thanks for staying with us through the tech stuff earlier. You were one of the earlier people who got on today. So, yes, it was fabulous. And guys, I just hope that you will really listen to what Emerald is talking about. I even was starting to go there with, how do I solve the phone phobia, right? And really noticing that it is holistic, that there's a holistic approach to doing this journey of entrepreneurship, spiritual entrepreneurship, as I like to call it, where we're really looking at the whole essence of our vibration and the whole person. And Emerald is amazing at specifically around helping you to amp up your wealth by shifting and tuning and fine-tuning that. So I hope you'll take advantage of a conversation with her. She's very generous. It's never a hard sell with her. So don't worry about that. I know some people are also scared of the hard sell conversation. So and Deborah said,
and let me say, if I love the prospect enough, and I love my offer enough, and I love the outcome that prospect is looking for enough, and I love myself enough, if it is a fit to make an offer, I most definitely will make an offer, because that would
of course.
It would be a disservice for me not to. So I want to make it clear that it's not a hard sell, and there may be an offer if it's the right fit. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're uncomfortable with offers, then it's probably a really good thing for you to talk to her. Because we all need to get comfortable with offers, right? So, and Deborah was saying, confirmation for me that I'm listening to the messages I received. Just was researching earthing on the weekend, which is awesome. So earthing.com, again, if you need to go there. So Emerald, thank you so much for being here. And I love you. And Alana's saying, thank you, ladies. I've enjoyed stepping into my greatness with the energy on the line today. Blessings to you all. So thank you for being here, Alana. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Emerald, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is gratitude is the currency of the universe, and currency is gratitude in action. So thank you so much for hosting me today, and thank you to everyone who attended, and thank you for those of you who are listening to the replay. I will be sending out a replay, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to be able to play with you, and I hope that you received what was what was meant for you today. Take what works for you and leave the rest behind.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for being here and spending this hour with us in a little bit. And Emerald, thank you so much again.
All right. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Blessings.